I respect the hell out of Candace Owens.
So do I.
Of course you do, Sage. You're both transphobic.
I'm not going to call you she. I'm not going to call you her just because you're a grown man and you're wearing a wig and a dress.
You're both props for the right wing.
I mean, do you have to hate your opponents to win?
Can I touch your hair? Can I feel?
Y'all despise Colin Kaepernick, even making a comparison to Greg Hardy.
How much of a problem did we have with Jerry Jones, with Greg Hardy over the last couple of years? You know, people pick and choose what they want to freak out about. Go for it. That is your right. I think it's comical. I think that if Colin Kaepernick, I just think he would still be on the Niners if he were that good.
Well, what happens when you fill out your census? I'm like, well, I don't know when the last time I filled out my census was, but if they make you choose a race, she's like, what are you going to put? I go, well, both. She's like, well, you can't. She goes, well, what if Barack Obama chose black and he's biracial? I'm like, well, congratulations to the president. That's his thing. I go, I think that's fascinating considering his black dad was nowhere to be found, but his white mom and grandma raised him. But hey, you do you.
Incredible. Many black journalists weighed in.
What? So that is undoubtedly a black face, whether or not she knows it, but it is most definitely not a black voice. Yet I'm sure someone is giving themselves a big diversity pat on the back by having that modern day minstrel show, Sage Step and Fetch It, on the airwaves spewing her continued nonsense.
My reaction was simply disappointed because, first of all, it implied so many things that were hurtful, and it also shows that there's just a lack of unawareness on her part.
Because actually it started with her comparing the children that had been, the children that were either infected by coronavirus or have been killed by the virus to the children in Chicago. Because, you know, that's the thing to do. What about Chicago?
Yet for Steele, her attention has now turned to trans inclusion in sports. And she has an ally in fellow ESPN anchor Sam Ponder, the wife of former NFL quarterback Christian Ponder. Sam has been host of College Game Day, handled NFL duties, and much more. Simultaneously, a foe has emerged to the pair, the fearless United States women's national team star, Megan Rapinoe, 199 goals, a Ballon d'Or winner, two-time World Cup winner. Her trophy case is as large as Fox News' hate for the truth. The recent spat involves trans rights, with Ponder, who in her free time shoots spots for Trump favorite and former cuck legacy Jerry Falwell Jr.'s Liberty University. And Steele...
I mean, I've had talks with young women who would come in and they'd intern with me, with our channel, or just other women who reach out to me now. And I've said to a couple of them, they're like, well, would you look at my tape? Would you do this? And I've said, listen, I would love to, but the way that you present yourself is not something I want to be associated with.
Yeah.
So when you dress like that,
Yeah.
I'm not saying you deserve the gross comments, but you know what you're doing when you're putting that outfit on, too.
Yeah.
Who continues to trip over her own feet. She encouraged fifth-place finisher and transphobe Riley Gaines to stay strong in a tweet. Sam Ponder replied to it, just wow. Yes, Riley, so many of us are cheering you on. I imagine this has felt lonely at times, and I'm genuinely sorry for my own cowardice in not speaking out sooner. Stay strong, sister. Steele wasn't done. Ponder showed more support for Gaines, quote tweeting a video of hers featuring her favorite target, Leah Thomas. No shock, she supports Vivek Ramaswamy on the TL, or, I know, shocker, RFK, or even bigger shocker, J.K. Rowling. But you know what? Back to the topic. Nancy R. Moore of USA Today would say there has been no shortage of stories in the last year about the actual ways in which women athletes are being treated unfairly and robbed of opportunities to participate, she wrote. USA Today Sports, for one, did an entire series on the subject, detailing how most schools aren't providing equitable funding for their men's and women's programs, are shortchanging women athletes on scholarship money, and are manipulating numbers to make it look as if they're complying with Title IX, and how the federal government is doing little to stop it. Did Ponder use her platform to express outrage at any of this? Urge charge her nearly 500,000 followers on Twitter to write or call their representatives and ask that women be given the funding and opportunities they rightfully deserve? Did she publicly participate in any of the many excellent documentaries, videos, and commentary ESPN did to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Title IX last year, or even tweet about them? No, she did not. Her public concern about fairness for female athletes starts and stops with the minuscule number of transgender women who are participating in sports. Sage Steele attacked Armour, labeling her pathetic, and clearly projected throughout her anger-written tweet on the subject matter. Now, in an interview with Time, Rapinoe said, "We as a country are trying to legislate away people's full humanity. Proponents of such laws often claim they're protecting women's sports. It's particularly frustrating when women's sports is weaponized," she said. Oh, now we care about fairness? Now we care about women's sports? That's total BS. And show me all the trans people who are nefariously taking advantage of being trans in sports. It's just not happening. She'd add, "I don't want to mince words about it. Dave Chappelle making jokes about trans people directly leads to violence, whether it's verbal or otherwise, against trans people. When Martina Navratilova or Sage Steele or whoever are talking about this, people aren't hearing it just in the context of elite sports. They're saying, the rest of my life, this is how I'm going to treat trans people." Obviously, Ponder would disagree. Sage says bio males shouldn't compete in female sports, and now she's to blame for violence? This is an attempt to silence good faith discussion and debate, she wrote on Twitter. Disagree passionately. Say she's wrong and why. But to claim she is responsible for violence is absurd. This is how you know it's bad faith. It can't be an A to B thing. It is you're saying that I'm killing people with my words, yet they say they want to have the discussion but won't partake. And yes, Sage Steele replied, "Yes, Sam, it's absurd and predictable. This is what happens when people allow their emotions to get in the way of facts and science, especially when they're fighting to keep a false narrative alive. You said it best after USA Today columnist Nancy Armour attacked you. Biology is not bigotry." Steele, of course, took part in the bonus hole rhetoric pushed by TJ Moe, a former Mizzou football player who licks Jason Whitlock's boot on The Blaze, a network run by a bona fide racist, Glenn Beck. She gave her 2 cents on anti-trans dialogue because she has proven she does not care about the issue, just excluding her fellow Americans. Fairness in sports? A supporter of Lance Armstrong is Steele. Follow the pattern yet? It is not about fairness or integrity. It is about using a wedge issue for clout, like Riley Gaines is doing, and like Steele is doing to set up her next move. Don't leave out Ponder either.